All right, John, a monster week. We know this. We appreciate you carving out some time. It seems from everybody connected to the game, there was at least some sensibility that's infiltrated the conversation this week. Urgency. What exactly should the average fan, what do we need to know right now? What are we looking for today and the next few days?
Well, yes, I'm very simple, so I will make it simple. It's going to be easy for me to do. The best thing that happened yesterday is that they sat in a room with each other, started at 1 o'clock, ended around 6 o'clock. They did caucus a little bit in between, so it wasn't completely 5 hours together, but presumably they worked together for several hours, didn't spit on each other. We don't know exactly what names they may have called each other or anything like that, but nothing's come out. There was no violence. So that is the best news out of yesterday. That said, we need to see some progress now in the talks. We have not seen a lot of progress to this point. Maybe I'm Pollyanna. Maybe I'm too optimistic. I've said along March 1st, so it is now February 22nd, 2/22/22. I'm not panicking, not yet.
Yeah, but, I mean, this is 2/22/22 means we're 6 days away from missing the
Right.
opening day. John, we know what some of the issues are. The universal DH, I think that's already been agreed upon. I think the expanded playoffs is a topic that's probably up for discussion. The salary arbitration rules, all those things. But what are the major sticking points? Like, what are they actually negotiating that's causing this to be so contemptuous?
Yeah, there aren't a ton of major issues left. There's maybe 3 or 4. The luxury tax is a key issue. And, the owners right now have moved it from 210 to 214 with harsher penalties. The union is not going to go for that. They're around the 245 mark right now, so they're $31 million apart and certainly not in agreement on the harsher penalty. They're going to have to find a compromise there, maybe at 225. Maybe move the penalties back to where they were this year, and that's topic number one.
Yeah,
I would say topic number 2 is the arbitration. Right now, 22% of players who have between 2 and 3 years of experience are eligible for arbitration. The union wants it to go to 80%, so that's a big difference, and that would mean a lot of money being swung over to the players' side.
yeah.
Right now, MLB is at status quo at 22%. They're going to have to come up. The union's certainly going to have to come down from that 80%. I'm saying somewhere around 33% would be my compromise. I think the union probably needs to compromise a little more on that one, get it closer to status quo. There are other issues. The bonus pool, they're far apart. The union's at 115, MLB's at 20. They're 95 million apart. I think they can compromise on that, whether it be 30, 40, 50 million, something like that. But to me, I think those are the 3 biggest issues right now, and I do see the possibility of a breakthrough, a trade. MLB makes a concession on the CBT, on the luxury tax, moves it up to 225, something like that, without the extended penalty, and the union comes down from 80% down to 30% or 33% on the arbitration. To me, trade one for the other. The union needs to concede a little bit on that arbitration, and MLB needs to concede a little bit on that luxury tax.
Yeah, no, John.
That's
Obviously, the luxury tax, John, is so that teams will spend more money before they're
Right.
penalized. But how does that affect some of these teams that aren't spending money at all? That have these
Pirates.
ridiculously low payrolls, $42 million, I think was the Orioles last year. Like, how does that affect them? Is there a floor that's going to rise there?
No. MLB proposed a floor, and the union felt that the floor meant that there would be a cap. But, to me, I like the idea of a soft floor where if you went for, let's say, 80 million or the 100 million was the proposal. Now, you're right. Some teams are in the 40, 50, 60 million range. That would mean a lot of money being spent on players if they moved it up to 100 million. But the union thought that if they agreed to that, they would have a tougher time getting what they want at the top end of things. And, I'm not sure. I'm not a labor lawyer. They may have a point there, but it certainly would help the competitive balance if you had a floor. That may not be the way to do it. That is one way to do it. But, obviously if they move that luxury tax way up there, you've got the small market teams that are going to be upset, not because it affects them monetarily, but their chances to win, not as great now, become even more diminished. So there is a group of 7 or 8 owners that are strongly against moving up that luxury tax. Not that it affects them. They're not spending $210 or $214 million anyway, but they want a chance to win. So, I understand competitive balance. The money obviously is number one, but the competitive balance is important. I do get that, but I think it's probably tough to not move that luxury tax up at all or to make it a harsher penalty at this stage. I think that would be difficult. The way the economy's going, the way the revenues are up, the way inflation is.
Yep.
I think MLB needs to move on that, but like I said, there's a trade-off to be made because the union needs to move on the arbitration percentages and probably on that bonus pool as well.
Okay, that's a good explanation. Talking to John Heyman, Odyssey MLB Insider here on Tiki and Tierney. All right, I got something for you. A little bit off the beaten path, not specific to these negotiations, but obviously will be a byproduct of whenever this lockout ends. The free agent frenzy and the trading spree that's going to follow, it's going to be awesome. I mean, baseball's going to own it for a little bit here, and I think we all expect the Yankees to be very involved. And the Mets to a lesser extent, because the Mets already made moves, whether it's Olsen for the Yankees, whether it's maybe Correa, which I don't see, maybe Freeman, maybe. But my question is this. I know that they're locked out. They can't use the facilities. Understood. Is there anything preventing General Manager X from talking with Agent Y during the lockout, general off-the-record parameters, okay? And that agent then obviously getting with his client, hey, Freddie, listen, I'm hearing from Cashman or whomever that we might be able to, get you 285. This way, as soon as the lockout ends, bang, business starts. Is that happening?
Yeah. Maybe I'm naive, but I don't think so. They're not supposed to be doing that. In a lockout, you're not supposed to be dealing with the players at all, and that certainly would be dealing with the players. It's possible. I mean, I remember getting a scoop on a free agent signing before the season even ended one time. I was on Devon White. He was signing with the Dodgers. That obviously wasn't so kosher.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I haven't heard of anything like that now. They're not supposed to be doing it. I hope they're following the rules, even if it's going to make it harder for me, because these signings are going to go into spring training. Hopefully they don't go into the season. In my mind, we have 4 superstars to go. You mentioned some of them there. Correa, Freeman, Bryant, and Story. I'll count Story. Even though he had an off year, to me, he's a $100 million plus player. To me, that's a superstar. That's a quartet of superstars to go. And, I don't think they're going to go quick. If one of those guys signs on day one, I'll tip my hat to you, Brandon. they were doing something fishy.
All right. Well, and by the way, what is your best, path here? What best guess? What the Yankees do when they can actually have the conversations, and what do the Mets do before they actually enter the season? Give us a little lowdown for each team.
Well, we're just talking about the big players here. So I'm going to say, from what I hear, the Yankees love Freeman. They think he'd be a great fit. They need a left-handed bat. They took a little bit of a pass at Seager, even though they weren't going to come close to that 10-year $325. Freeman, they think, is a perfect fit. They're going to make a run at him. Are they going to get him? I mean, if I'm sitting here today, I know he's probably not that thrilled with the Braves and how they didn't sign him in spring training when he was hoping to be signed.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately they're still the favorite to retain him. That's going to be number one for them. Now, if they don't get Freeman, do they go after Correa? They need a shortstop. I know that they spoke to Correa's people. And of course, his people have changed since the lockout, but they spoke to him, his agent at the time, John Rosen, about coming to the Yankees. So there is some interest there with Correa. I think they were more interested in Seager or Semien. Those are both off the board. If they switch over to Correa now, it would be a little bit of a surprise, but you never know how these things work out. Obviously, they can't get Seager or Semien at this point. They definitely need to get a shortstop. They may go with Andrelton Simmons. He's still a free agent and spend the money elsewhere. They're hoping it's Freeman. They need a pitcher. That's the Yankees. The Mets, they're in it to win it. give Steve Cohen credit. I think right now they're the better team, and they're going to keep going. So let's not be surprised. We heard some talk about another outfielder. Well, you know what? They've got a pretty good outfield right now. He signed Cannon, he signed Marte. I think Bryant is probably the best fit for them at this point, right, at third base. And he plays some outfield. So maybe that's the outfielder they're talking about. But I can see the Mets in on Bryant. I know they're looking for another pitcher. Kikuchi's still out there. I've not heard them with Rodon. There are not a ton of frontline pitchers left. But, obviously healthy, the Mets have the best 1-2 punch in baseball with DeGrom and Scherzer. Can't get any better than that. Healthy, they might be certainly DeGrom's the best pitcher in the game, healthy, and Scherzer might be the next best. So you can't do any better than that. But I think they are looking at it from a depth standpoint. Kikuchi is the guy that they have talked to. So I think there's still big stuff for both of our teams to do.
John, how much of what – I think this applies more to the Yankees because I feel like when it comes to it, if it comes to it, Cohen will cut any check for somebody he really desires. I'm not so sure about the Yankees anymore. But how much of what the Yankees are doing now, like you say if they had Freeman for I'll throw out a $250, $270 for Freddie Freeman. You already got Cole on $3 bills. You're going to have to pay Judge. You got Stanton. How much of what these teams do now are they planning for possibly getting Juan Soto?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. We know that the Mets tried for his younger brother, Elian, who people tell me is really very fringy as a prospect. And the Mets offered him $50,000 early trying to get him. So, it's not a big leap to think that the Mets, who have the most money to spend, who seem to be trying the hardest of any team, to me, they're an early favorite to get Soto. The Yankees have been very cognizant of that luxury tax. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's $210 now. They've offered $214. I think MLB is going to have to go up to $220 or $225. For me, the Yankees probably have to go over to compete. They haven't gone over in the last couple of years. They certainly have the wherewithal to do it. They have the revenues. But, obviously if you get Freeman, that may affect what happens with Judge. I know they'd like to keep Judge. We'll see about that. It's an interesting little dilemma there. I think you were probably a little generous to Freeman at his age.
Okay.
Goldschmidt got $130. I think that's what the Braves were thinking about early. Obviously, that's out the window now. Freeman's a world champion. He was an MVP. He's going to do much better than Goldschmidt's $130. Someone out there is probably going to pay him $180 or something like that. I don't know that it's going to be the Braves, but I think he's the guy that we should keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Workers, because of the Yankees, it's going to be very interesting to see whether they can lure him away from Atlanta. As we said, he's not exactly thrilled with them right now. The opening is there to potentially do it.
John, yesterday BT and I were talking about what the players were doing right now. A lot of them are on site, so to speak, just in case spring training hops right into it. What are they doing? Do you know what the players are currently doing to get themselves ready for whenever spring training starts? We know that the games have been pushed back to at least March 5th. And again, we said we have just under a week before the start of the regular season. Open day is in jeopardy. But what are the players actually doing right now?
Well, we know it's not like the old days when I started covering, when there'd be guys who would show up with a pot belly or anything like that. These guys are going to be in shape when they get there, and they've been working out. As serious as they are about the negotiations, and they're sticking together pretty good. I think Max Scherzer is holding them together. He's the highest paid guy per year at $43 million, and he's got the most to lose if they go on strike. But he has been the strongest voice. He's working out in the air now. I think he's part of the negotiations right now in Jupiter, where he lives, but he's working out. I'm sure just about every player is working out. I don't think there's any question about that. There is a complication, though, for the guys who need to get visas from Latin America. We don't know when they're going to be able to need them, so it's a little bit dicey for them. I have no worries about them working out down there, but I'm worried about them getting here and being able to have close to a full spring training. they're not going to be a full spring training for anybody, but having the full 4 weeks that they're going to have for spring training. And I do think they're going to have a deal. March 1st was my prediction. I'm still holding on to that.
Okay.
It's not March 1st.
All right.
2nd or 3rd, something like that. I will be shocked if they don't have a deal, and I will be shocked if they don't play a full season.
There we
Now,
go.
If they delay the season a couple days, that's a possibility. But,
Yeah.
I've been shocked before, but I really don't think that's going to happen.
I'll take it. John, really good stuff. Appreciate it, John. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, John.
Always great talking to you guys. See you later, guys.
You too. John Heyman, Odyssey MLB Insider. Insider Calls brought to you by Driveway.com. Head to Driveway.com today and shop more than 25,000 new and used cars. Shop for them in Driveway's nationwide inventory. All right, so positivity there. That's how I started the show. I felt good about this week coming in. John obviously is much more connected to this than I am. He's feeling good, so that only emboldens me further. 877-337-6666.